Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing a series on why Advaita from my perspective. That is the perspective of a material scientist here. So it's more looking from a rationalistic point, at the same time so that the truth is beyond any logic, and that's what scripture also says, Naisha tarke namatirapaneya. This cannot be conceptualized or analyzed through logic, because any logic according to the Vedantic tradition has to be supported by, the logical deduction has to be supported by pratyaksha pramana, means direct the perceptual data. Same way even science also, any logical theories that you may produce, but has to be supported by various experimental evidence for it. That means pratyaksha pramana is required in order to validate what the theories based on just the logic. And same way the logical deductions have to be supported by pratyaksha, and by pratyaksha you cannot see the God or the truth, because it's not a limited, it's infinite, and infinite cannot be perceived. So therefore it is beyond the logic also, but yet Vedanta has to be logical. It's not illogical, and it's not just a belief system. So I have to be convinced, and it's based on conviction, based on the experience also. And experience itself is not a basis, and knowledge can contradict experiences. Just as I see sunrise and sunset every day, but knowledge or science says there is no sunrise and sunset, in spite of my experience. So experience is not a proof of reality, but at the same time the knowledge has to also explain why I am seeing sunrise and sunset when there is no sunrise and sunset. That's a part of science too. Same way the Shastram also should tell me that why I am seeing something that is different from the truth. At the same time, truth is beyond any perceptual analysis also. Both have to be dealt with. So here the scripture points out that what is absolute truth and what is relative truth also, it says. And what is the truth is explained in terms of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is infiniteness, that is alone truth, and that's of the nature of consciousness, Prajnanam Brahma, and that consciousness is also of the nature of existence, because we are not talking about non-existent consciousness. So existent consciousness, which is same as Sat and same as Chit, and being limitless or infinite, it is also Ananda Swarupam, because any limitations contribute to the suffering. So it is a pure Satchidanandam or Satyam Jnanam Anantam, or the nature of a pure existent consciousness, infiniteness, limitless Anandam, happiness is its nature. It is called Swarupa Lakshanam, and it's one without any distinctions of any kind. So we said Visajati Vijati Swagada Veda Rahitam, no differentiation of any kind. And then how do we explain this universe? Explain universe. Scripture says that what was there is only pure Satchidananda, and it started thinking of becoming many, and it became many. That's how the scripture uses in the description of how one became a many. So we already introduced the concept of Maya. Maya is the force that required in order for a change of state, because anything changing state change requires a force, and that's a science-wise. So change of one becoming into many requires a force, and that is called Maya Shakti. That's same as Prakriti. So Mayanti Prakritim Vidyat. So Upanishad talks about also Maya is Parameshwara Shakti. And now pure Brahman, which is all infinite, pure existent consciousness, when it comes to creation, we are coming a level down. So from a Paramarthika Satyam, absolute reality state, to a transactional state, because that's where the world is there, I am there, and therefore who created the world? We bring Ishvara also. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara comes within the realm of transactional reality, and there is a division. Jiva is different from Jagat, Jagat is different from Ishvara, and says Jiva Jiva Binnatvam, Jiva Jagat Binnatvam. That means the differentiation of all that. So all differences of all types come into picture. I am different from you, you are different from that. All these things. That is only at the transactional level, and the differences are prescribed on the basis of the gunas, properties, and the properties belong to Prakriti only. So my attributes are different from your attributes that differentiate I and you based on the attributes, or attributes of the body externally, and attributes of the mind at the mental level, and attributes of the intellect at the intellectual level. Body level, say I'm a man, he's a woman, or she's a woman, and so each one is different based on the body wise, 5 feet tall or 2 feet tall or so much weight. All those things are external at the body level, Annamaya Kosham. And if you go to Manomaya, mind, what my feelings are different, what I love is different from what you love, all those distinctions at the mental level differentiate you, me, and he, she. At the same time, at the intellectual level, what the capacity of my intellect, because I come from one background of trained background, you come from a different, one is an engineer, another is a doctor, another is a scientist, another is, so varieties of professionals based on the qualifications of the intellect. So there is a difference at all levels that distinguish difference of Jiva Jiva Binnatvam. Jiva Jagat Binnatvam, table is different, chair is different, carpet is different, food is different, garbage is different, all differences of any kind, and they are different from me. So the Jiva Jagat Binnatvam, Jagat, within the Jagat, each object is different, and each object has its own qualifications, and the Ishvara is a creator, and we don't say anything in the universe cannot create the universe because it's inside the universe, and anything outside the universe also cannot create it, because if there is something outside the creation, that outside also has to be created. So outside becomes inside the creation only. So there cannot be anything outside the creation, and there cannot be, and the creator cannot be inside the creation. So creation and the creator have to be one and the same. So it is not like any other me making a pot, because the clay is different from me. I am an intelligent cause and the clay is a material cause. Whereas if Ishvara is going to create, where does it create from? He has to create from himself, because he cannot go and get material from somewhere else. If there is some material, then ask who created that material. So therefore, it is in fact Vedanta that zeroes in. It's not only the Nimitta Karanam, intelligent cause, but also Upadana Karanam, material cause. So from which only universe came, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back. That's why we said Chandogya Upanishad provides 3 examples from which the whole gold ornaments came, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back. So gold is the Upadana Karanam, material cause for all ornaments. And the cause and effect relationship, Karya, Karana, Sambandham, because one is a cause, another is an effect. And this is a material cause. In the case of ornament, there is an intelligent cause also, a goldsmith, which is different from gold. So in that case, in the transactional reality, the material cause is different from an intelligent cause. But in the case of Ishvara, you cannot separate material cause and the intelligent cause. If Ishvara is alone is an intelligent cause, where does he get material? And material is somewhere else, then how did that material come? Who created that material? So we cannot bring another Ishvara. So the material also comes from himself, because he is being infinite. So here Brahman, which is infinite, come down a level. Ishvara is also infinite, at the same time is qualified infinite. It is only a temporarily for transactional reality, not from the absolute point. You cannot have infinity at the same time qualified. That's only for bhakti. You say Ananta Kalyana Guna Ashrayam. Ishvara is not only is Anantam, infinite, he has infinite auspicious qualities, but which I cannot think of. So that which is beyond my thought is picturized as though that is Ishvara with all the qualities. That is good from the point of bhakti point. But if you want to know the truth, ultimately, the ultimate bhakti has to converge to the jnanam, and Krishna himself says, Chaturvida bhajante mam. There are 4 types of the bhaktas who worship me. One is jnani, another is jignasu, who wants to know. One is who knows, another is who wants to know, and another is who is always wants something, and he comes to temple to give a big list of things. I want this, I want this, I want this. So he is artharthi. So artha means he wants property, and the third one is essentially he comes only arthaha. Only when things are going that he cannot control, then he can think of God. Otherwise he doesn't even think of God. So artho, artharthi, jignasu, jnanincha, bharatarshava. These are the 4 types, and Krishna himself says that among all the 4 bhaktas, the greatest bhakta is jnani, who knows. What is a jnanam? That is essentially we are talking about is a jnana yogam, or knowledge that there is no jiva jagat ishvara bhinnatvam is only at the transactional level, from the absolute level, which I cannot think of, but Vedanta only pointing in the direction. That's called lakshyartha. In the direction you have to think for the mind to transcend to that understanding. That is Brahman. All that is there. So now we are coming to when the Ishvara created it, how does he create? On what basis he creates? So we have to have why he created this kind of universe. All these questions are asked by a rational intellect. Why did he create so much suffering? And recently I got a mail from a lady from England asking me, says, why God made animals to eat other animals? So otherwise what they have to eat only? Vegetables only. So I have to be vegetarian. So this is the tiger can only eat, because that's how ecology is maintained, I guess. Otherwise you have too many animals, there is no food, enough food. So you cannot provide logical answers, because that is so. So depending upon the nature of the species, the things are provided, and all that is part of the creation. And the Jiva Jagat Ishvara is all at the level of transactional level. From the absolute point, no, it's a divisionless. That's called Advaita. Advaita means Jiva Jagat Ishvara, duality. Duality means plurality here. So that which is Advaita means that which points out in the direction by negating what you see is not really real, what is there is fundamental. Because if something is changing, there has to be changeless entity which is substantive or substratum which has to be changeless. If that is also changing, there has to be another substantive which is changeless. So ultimately you have to come to one changeless entity from which all changes can be perceived or quantified. And therefore Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara are divisions, and there has to be divisionless state that is called Brahman. And so we started with the Brahman, we came to Ishvara level, and Ishvara level is where the Ishvara is Sagunatmika Brahman. Brahman is also infinite, and that's what in the Vishwarupam is Krishna shows that with a proper vision, because he gives the vision to Arjuna to see. So therefore, with that vision, I can see the entire universe, but what I see is that vision is to be able to see in and through what you see, that which is all-pervading reality. That is the vision. And that vision Krishna gave there, but we have to acquire by proper maturing the mind and look at in the direction to see that oneness that pervades the entire universe. That is the vision. And this teaching is done in the form of Mahavakyas. In the Advaitic tradition, there is a famous, in the Chandogya, the teacher talks about how to know pure existence alone was there. That's how the description started. That existence became many. How he came? He gave three there in terms of the three bhutas, but in the other scriptures, the panchabhutas, Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha, so Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Abja Pruthivi. So these are the bhutas which are in the subtle form first, and by what we call Panchikaranam, because each divided into half, and one half of the division becomes into four, and each one distribute to other, and is all described in the Vedanta as a Panchikaranam, where each one again becomes one. So Akasha involves half of really subtle Akasha and the 1/4 of Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, like that each one has the other four elements as 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and the 1/8 of it forming a 1/2, and the other half is of its own and forming again each one is full. That's called grossification, and the whole gross world that you see is produced by the gross elements, and subtle material, mind and intellect and all that are created by the subtle elements. Also the prana, senses, all are subtler elements, and even the mind is, according to Vedanta, is a matter, subtle matter, and therefore all are inert things, and that's what the whole creation is divided. So the Lord is going to create the individuals and vasanas and all that based on previous karmas of all the people, which forms the likes and dislikes that are stored in the material, in the total subtle body, that forms an expression for the creation into grosser world. So what is that? We say every jiva wants certain things and avoids some things. So likes and dislikes, which are based on my previous vasanas, that is, if I like something, then I want to have more and more of that, and if I dislike something, I don't want that. So I gravitate towards things of I like and try to avoid things I don't like. So my whole world is, I'm moving towards that is conducive for my likes and dislikes, and everyone is born because of that vasanas in an environment conducive to exhaust those vasanas. So my world is based on my vasanas, your world is based on your vasanas, and the total world is based on total vasana of all beings. So Ishvara has to create the world that is conducive to exhaust the vasanas of all beings, depending upon the nature of the vasanas. If the vasanas are bad, then the world is also bad. It's not the Ishvara's problem. It is the vasanas of the individuals that is the problem. If I want a better world, then I should develop better vasanas, then you develop better vasanas. So if everybody develops, then the world also will become better. So the example I give is, when I go to a goldsmith shop, and I wanted to buy a watch, or a ring, and there are varieties of rings that are there on display, but I didn't like any of them. I said, why is he making all this kind of rings? So the goldsmith was there, said, why are you making these rings? Why don't you make a ring like this I want? So I gave a description. He said, nobody will buy that kind of ring. If you want, I'll make it for you, but it will cost you extra. I make those rings because there's a demand and people want that kind. So I can make anything you want, but I had to make those that is based on the demand, supply and demand. So that's Krishna, the Lord also same thing. He creates the world based on the demand. So demand by the jivas or the vasanas that I want to exhaust, and I need that kind of world to exhaust it. So I'm born in a particular environment also. So once you have created a body, mind, intellect, Upanishad says, Upavishati, I entered as though into that body, mind, intellect, as though as a jiva. That's what the description of creation of each one is. So what is this, what we have done? What is this Brahman? Brahman as though becoming into many, and Maya becomes a tool, and Maya becomes an instrument, and Ishvara is defined as the one who uses the tool. So Mayanta Prakritim Vijjat, Prakriti is same as Maya, and Mayavi, who is the wielder of Maya, is Ishvara. So we have defined Ishvara, we have defined the Maya force, and Maya means Ya, Ma, Sa Maya. That's not really there, but appears to be there. And that is the force, and therefore, since it's not a real creation, it's only apparent creation. Apparent becomes real if I don't know the truth. But if it becomes apparent, is understood as only apparent once I know the truth, and once I see the substantive or the adhara, adhishtanam, then I know the truth. At the same time, I can enjoy this. Just like a scientist, he knows everything, electron, protons, neutrons. Yet, at the transactional level, the iron is iron, and gold is gold, diamond is diamond. Even diamond is same as charcoal or graphite, but still diamond is diamond and charcoal is charcoal. No confusion there, because packaging is different. So therefore, those are called transactional reality, knowing very well everything is nothing but electrons, protons, neutrons. So he doesn't, just because he's an Advaitin in terms of the particles and everything is fundamentally the same, doesn't mean that he's going to eat garbage and or drink poison and throw amritam or throw delicious food. So the transactional goes on. Understanding can be different also. So now scripture talks about, after describing what was there before creation is pure existent, and which is of the nature of consciousness and its nature of ananda, since it's infinite. When it became many, then the teacher goes through and says that everything has existence as a basis, and so are you. And you are that existence, and existence can never be divided. It is an undivisible, pure, all-pervading existence, and that's how the Chandogya Upanishad teaches Tattvamasi, Aitadatmyam idagum sarvam, tat satyam sa atma sa vigneyaha. So you see, Tattvamasi Svetaketo says, that is you are. So you, and that equation is provided, Tattvamasi, you are that. So what is that? That is defined in the previous two lines, is Aitadatma vidagum sarvam tat satyam. The idagum sarvam means this entire universe, idam sarvam, this entire all objective world, that, or the world of all objects, that is either it's a gross objects or subtle objects. So all that idam sarvam, that which is the essence of the whole thing, is Aitadatmyam. The essence of every idam sarvam is nothing but pure existence alone, because that's how he starts. Existence alone was there and it became many. So essence of everything is nothing but pure existence that he discussed already before, and that's what he's pointing out. Aitadatmyam, the essence of every the idagam sarvam is tat satyam, that is the truth or existence. And then why is that? Sa atma, that is consciousness also, and you are conscious entity or you existent entity, and tattvamasi, that you are. So what is that you are equating? I am equal to that. What is that? Is already defined that as pure existent consciousness, Satchidananda Brahman. And you think you are an individual with a body, mind, intellect. That's a part of Prakriti creation. You are pure existent consciousness, the essence that Atma, the self has to exist, and self has to be conscious that I am. When I say I am existing conscious entity, and you think you are limited by identifying with the body, mind, intellect, that's why you have to drop that. So it's called, the equation is equation of the essence, and that's what is called the Bhagatyaga Lakshanam. The equation is valid only when I drop the contradictory qualifications of I am, you are, and all that, and also Ishvara's qualifications, also drop it. And what is the essence of Ishvara? He has to be conscious entity, he has to be existent entity, and he is infinite entity. So he is Brahman, pure Brahman becomes the essence of Ishvara. And also I am pure Brahman, because the statement is you are indeed that. So how that equation is valid? That's why scripture becomes a pramana, and that's why the teacher has to be there also. Why? To explain how can I be equated to that infiniteness, because you are, as a body, mind, intellect is not equated, but as the essence, which is pure existent consciousness, is same as pure existent consciousness everywhere, because existent consciousness is indivisible. So therefore we said Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman, is a definition provided by Vedanta. What does that mean? We said it is a necessary and sufficient, because it's provided in a converse statement. I give an example for this is when I say sugar is sweet, the sweetness is a necessary qualification for a sugar. So if it looks like a sugar but is not sweet, then we know it's not a sugar, even though it may look like sugar. So it is necessary that if it is a sugar, it has to be sweet. But it's not a sufficient qualification. But sufficient qualification means a converse has to be valid. That means if it is sweet, it has to be sugar only. But it can be equal or Splenda or so many things are there which are also sweet but not sugar. So it's not sufficient. So the scripture defines in the converse way, Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is infinite. That means it is necessary and sufficient, and that's what Shankara calls it Swarupa Lakshanam. It is an intrinsic property, it's not a property. Intrinsic nature of Brahman is pure existence. Existence is not a property. That is its nature, and Swarupam, and same as, and its being conscious entity, it is Sattayeva Chit, Sattayahyaham. That's what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says. Sat is same as Chit, Chit is same as I am. So that is also Ananda, because of it's a limitless, and limitless is Anantameva Anandam. Limitless alone is pure happiness, because any limitations contribute to suffering. So here we are taking the scriptural statement is provided, Tattvamasi, and the statement is repeated 9 times, showing that importance of the statement and contemplation in the statement. And that statement has been interpreted by many other acharyas in several ways, and that's called Samanadhikaranam. They use the Samanadhikaranam. That means if there are 2 words are used, Tat and Tvam, you, that, and you. So there are 2 things, that and you, and are equated, asi, they are same, which means that is same as you. And when you say that and you, when you say they are used in the equal samana adhikaranam, so in the same the context, therefore they are equated to as one only, identity equation. And other interpretations are the way the sandhi is not tattvamasi, it is atatvamasi. You are not that. So that's why the Madhva philosophy talks about you are not that, atatvamasi. And the scripture talks about you are not what? You are not the Brahman. You are not the Brahman. Why it has to tell 9 times? Even though I have been feeling that all the time I am not Brahman, and you are confirming again, and I know it already. So the scripture becomes a pramana only if I cannot know by any other way. That's what anabhigata, abhadita, artha vishayaka, jnanatvam pramanam. Anadhigata means it cannot be known by any other way. So if I want to see something, eyes are the only pramana. Not hears, not taste, all that. If I want to see a form and colors, eyes are the only means. And that's called a pramana means. And the Vedanta becomes a pramana only because you cannot know by any other way. So I am infinite, how do I know? Experientially you cannot tell, only by scriptural statement it's pointing in the direction. That's called the Bhagatyagam. I drop all other contradictory qualifications of myself, contradictory qualifications of Ishvara, and equate only the essence. That's called Bhagatyagam, where the Madhvacharya interprets as Atatvamasi, which we reject that because we don't need scripture to tell me that. And Ramanuja uses Visheshabhyam Samanadikaranam. So one is one is the attribute, another is the essence, and they are used in the same sense, and that's what he calls it as the Visheshana Visheshabhyam. Like blue lotus. Blue is a color and attribute of a lotus. So blue is not same as lotus. At the same time, blue is lotus are together as one is a Visheshana, that is attribute, and the Visheshya, locus of the attribute. Same way, all jivas form the essence as attribute for the whole Virat Purusha, and that's why called Visishta Advaita. And anyway, from the Vedantic Advaita point, Tattvamasi involves Bhagatyaga Lakshanam, and how we have to understand it, how we need to contemplate on it. We will go into the next talk to find out what exactly involves in terms of Advaitic state of realization. With this we stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.